morning, and thank you for joining us on After GMS. Today is Wednesday, the 2nd of March. The first part of the year is really rolling, isn't it?
It's going by so fast. Where does the time go?
I'm Tracy McCain here with Sydney Moore. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here this morning.
And then we have our weather guys, Ed Matthews, Christian Morgan, and you guys deliver all week. Well, except Friday.
70s.
But it's okay.
70s for you, Sydney. 70s for Tracy.
Yes. I'll take it.
70s for Ed. 70s for me, and for everybody else behind the scenes too. How about that? Just like Oprah. Sunshine all day long today too. Look at a beautiful sunrise coming up across the Triad. Deep blue sky. And I'm telling you, at this point in the year, not until and then again in fall, the sky is the bluest that I think it gets all year round. I mean, beautiful, beautiful sky this morning. And it'll be a beautiful afternoon of weather too. I want to show you some of the numbers from yesterday for a reason. Take a look at where our high was yesterday. 64 yesterday afternoon. Average high right now is 57. We started the morning yesterday pretty much right on the money. 35 was our low. 36 is the average low right now. Of course, we didn't come anywhere close to breaking any records yesterday. But I show you that to show you what happens throughout the month of March and as we go into spring, because there are a lot of gains, not only in temperatures, but also in daylight too, which we'll talk about in just a moment. So our average high right now at the beginning of the month is 57. By the middle of the month, our average high is into the low 60s. And by the time we get into April, we've gained about 10 degrees as far as our average high temperature goes. So it'll be in the upper 60s there. So of course, as we head towards spring, we're really off to the races on warming things up. And daylight, there's some big gains in that too. Sunsets right now are back to 6:15. Sunrises are about 6:45. And then of course over the next 2 weeks, don't forget about daylight saving time, which happens on Sunday, March 13th. At that point, sunsets will be back close to 7:30. And the sunrises also will be close to 7:30 as well. But we see big daylight gains over the next several weeks as we go into spring and on into summer as well. Here's the story. High pressure in control of our weather. That'll keep us high and dry for today and for tomorrow as well. And with a westerly wind, as it comes over the mountains, it actually sinks on its ascent down into the Piedmont. And that's what we call compressional warming. So it's easier for us to warm things up. So I wouldn't be shocked to see low 70s this afternoon, maybe some mid 70s in some places, but I think we'll hold off on that until tomorrow. Now, as we get into Friday, there will be some cold air to the north that tries to make it in here and will eventually win out as we go into your Friday. It's a quick cool down, but it sticks out like a sore thumb on the 7-day forecast, which you'll see coming up in just a few minutes. Mid and upper 30s out the door this morning for pretty much everybody. Well on our way to 70 degrees and low 70s this afternoon, full of sunshine today too. And we really don't have any wind to worry about either. And if it's breezy at all, it'll be a warm wind, which of course we don't mind as much. Overnight clear skies back into the mid and upper 40s. Not going to be all that cold as you start your Thursday morning, just a little more on the cool side of things. Low 40s are possible in some of the foothills and into the mountains as well. And as we stay warm and as we stay dry, the pollen will start to become more of an issue. Already an issue with high tree pollen likely for today and tomorrow, even heading into the weekend as well. There's your 7-day forecast. Not hard to miss Friday, is it? It sticks out like a sore thumb. We cool down on Friday briefly, and then we start to warm things up again over the course of the weekend. We'll have some extra clouds on Friday and Saturday, mid 60s by Saturday, and we're knocking on the door of 80 degrees by Sunday and Monday. Rain chance, though, does start to creep back in. A 30% chance of a shower late day on Monday, and then 40% chance of a few showers on Tuesday.
All right, so the sunshine really shining in Louisiana as well. Fat Tuesday celebrations return for the first time since COVID. New Orleans was certainly popping with music, color, and spirit yesterday. The celebration marking the final day of indulgence before a sacred tradition of fasting begins.
Today is Ash Wednesday and the start of Lent, a Christian tradition in which some people fast or give up something as a spiritual offering. This morning, we want to know, are you giving up something? So we've heard from D. Henry. He says, I give up red meat for Lent. Connie says, I'm giving up fast food and unnecessary shopping. Another viewer says they gave up Facebook back in December and will keep it going through Lent. All right. And Leslie is giving up Lifetime Movie Network.
So I also heard from some of you on my Facebook page. Anna said, giving up sodas.
Oh.
Teresa said, I'm volunteering and paying it forward. I like that. Alicia said, giving up worry and anxiety over things I cannot control.
Oh, yes,
I need to do that.
ma'am. I love it.
Yeah.
She's like, got the snaps and everything. Yeah, so I mentioned this earlier. I like to use this time as a moment of reflection, really, and intention.
Yeah.
Intention on my focus to being a better person, a better mom, a better coworker, or improving something in my life that I feel like I'm falling short on. And as a busy mom, employee, worker, that can happen. So I just like to take this opportunity to say, here's something that I really want to make better, and then I focus on that instead of giving up something else.
Yeah.
But I can see that, Lent obviously works that way, where you're supposed to give up a bad habit. But I like to fill with positivity, and say, instead of giving up this bad thing, I'm gonna, fill my life with something else that I can do.
That's right. And kind of just what that viewer said before, how he or she had given up something back in December and is still keeping it going. You find that once you give something up, you're like, you know what, I could keep going with this. And you start to feel more clean and things of that nature as well, too.
Yeah, that's the word. All right, so are you going to give anything up for Lent, or how are you going to spend this season?
I would probably give up Netflix. I think I'm on Netflix a lot. I don't eat fast food a lot. I've been cooking a lot more.
Good.
But, sometimes you find yourself going through that Chick-fil-A line. So, you know what? It wouldn't be bad to just drive right past it.
It would be very bad to drive right past it.
It
would be horrible.
Right, if I could do that.
Yeah. All right, so Christian said he would not be doing that one. What would you be giving up?
I've given up soda before, but I think the hardest thing I've ever given up was sweet tea.
Ooh.
That's tough. That's tough for a Southern Randolph County boy, I'll tell you. You don't always give up something for Lent. I don't think I am really this year, but if the big things that I would probably give up would be coffee and would probably be my phone. Two things that I've always got in my hand usually. But I'm so active for work purposes a lot on social media, and sometimes you just need that coffee in the morning. But like Tracy said, I like to use this time of the year and the Lent season to do more to give back to my church. I serve on the worship team there in a musical way, but to do more monetarily for the church and to just kind of grow in my faith and be a little bit stronger about make sure I'm reading my Bible every day and doing my devotions every day. I'm gonna try to use this season to do that.
That's good.
I love that. All right. Ed Matthews, you mentioned not having steak.
Yeah, that would be a major sacrifice for me, and I eat too much red meat anyway, so that would be a real sacrifice to give up, and also the ranch dressing dip that goes along with it. That would be doubly difficult to give up.
Yeah, a lot of people are giving their ideas of things that would be difficult to give up, but they're going to try. So I just responded to Dee Dee because she has me laughing right now.
Me too.
Dee Dee said to your comment, no, not Chick-fil-A.
I know, so I'm sorry.
But then followed up with the best comment. She said, I work at Chick-fil-A. I'm going to give up fried food. And said, now that's hard when you work at Chick-fil-A, giving up fried food. Wish me luck.
You smell it all the time. So hard to resist, I'm sure.
Right. Which means you're probably everyone's best friend, because if you smell like Chick-fil-A, and then it's just like the scent kind of just.
Side note, when I was in high school, I worked at Chick-fil-A, and I still have, back home at my parents' house, I still have my clothes from when I worked at Chick-fil-A. And to this day, you can pull them out of the drawer and they still smell like it.
Are you serious, Christian?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's another conversation for another day, but carry on.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, everybody has something that they want to give up. Maybe we need to give up that, Christian. I mean, unless you wear it on occasion. I don't know. You might.
Time to toss it, Christian.
Time to toss it.
Toss it.
Of course, there are people who, oh, yes, Julie's from Australia, so she doesn't know what Chick-fil-A is, but if Chick-fil-A has their way, they will be coming your way pretty soon. Let's see. Bobby Odom says, I cut back on French fries at the beginning of the year, started eating low sodium potato chips in their place. Preston also used to work at Chick-fil-A until he found out that they didn't like him very much. So I'm sorry about that. Jarrell says, I can't give up my steak. And let's see, someone else said, I'm gonna give up Wendy's chili, our Brian said.
Oh, my mom loves
Wendy's chili? I've
chili.
never tried it.
My
I
goodness.
know
With
they
some
have
crackers. Oh goodness, with some crackers, especially when you're not feeling well as well too. Oh, it's delicious, very delicious. So yes, probably will be tough to give up, but you can do it. You can do it.
One of our producers earlier, when we were talking about this on the Good Morning Show on TV, got in my ear and said, maybe you should give up going to Boone. And because I thought about that for a second. I was like, you know, that would actually be very difficult for me. And then I found a way out of it, because I said, actually, I'm going to speak at App State a couple times over the season of Lent. Sorry, that's not going to work.
Yeah, so you have a professional reason
That's right.
to avoid that.
That's right.
Let's see, we also have some people giving up some like smoking. Julie said, I'm giving up smoking. It's been 5 days so far.
Good for you.
I'm sure that's very hard. I know a lot of people struggle with that. Somebody said they're giving up men, but I can't find the original comment. Oh, yeah,
Okay.
Robin Lawson said, I'm giving up men, but Bobby replied, don't, we are not all the same. And Dana said she's adding intentional prayer and Bible time. So
Very
again,
nice.
that kind of that opposite theory of adding instead of taking it away.
That's good.
And then we'll
That's
see
a lot
if
of people
anybody else-
talking about it's hard to resist fries. Gosh, it really is.
Yeah. My vice right now is garlic mashed potatoes.
Ooh.
I'm just, I don't know what's going on. I just want them all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Like, especially.
Once you get going, it's hard to stop.
It really is. And so now I've like really learned how to make them well because, because I'm like, I'm not going to call and order these
no,
anymore.
Tracy.
But now, so now that I make them at home, it's even worse.
Right.
So anyway, but yeah, let us know what you're going to be giving up, or at least maybe if you're fasting or trying to add something different to your life, let us know in the comments, and we have another conversation coming up in just a few moments.
Awesome.
All right, let's get to your morning headlines. Today, the Vice President heads to North Carolina. Vice President Kamala Harris will be in Durham to discuss the Biden administration's investment in union jobs and recommendations that could make it easier for federal workers to unionize. U.S. Secretary of Labor Marty Walsh will join the Vice President. We'll, of course, keep you updated. If you see flames If you see flames on Fuller Street in Greensboro this morning, do not be alarmed. The Greensboro Fire Department is holding a live fire training for new recruits at that location on Fuller Street. It will start at 8 this morning, so just a few minutes, and it doesn't wrap up until 5 o'clock tonight.
Well, downtown Greensboro's new social district is now open every day from noon to 9. You can walk around parts of downtown with an adult beverage. Anywhere inside these yellow lines, hopefully we'll pull that up in a second, down on Elm Street from Smith to Gate City Boulevard. Signs are up around downtown so you know where the drinks are allowed. This week, Governor Cooper announced he is lifting mask requirements at state facilities starting Monday. The loosening of restrictions comes as our case numbers continue to drop and experts start to mention the word endemic. WFMY News 2's Itanise McMiller shares an expert's take on where we currently stand.
It's fair to wonder if we're getting back to normal with COVID restrictions lifting left and right. Masks are no longer required indoors in schools, and come next week, hospitals will be able to lift their mask rules. I spoke with a doctor with Novant Health who says it's normal for folks to not know when or where to mask up because we are in a transitional phase. Here's where he says we're headed.
We are transitioning from a pandemic phase of this virus where we have these large spikes and peaks in viral activity to more of an endemic phase of the virus where it's in our communities, but it's at a manageable level. And that transition from pandemic to endemic, which we've talked about before, is going to be messy.
Dr. Priest says this won't be a smooth transition because some people will say the relaxing COVID precautions are moving too slow, and others will say we're moving too fast. With loosening restrictions, Dr. Priest says we could see a little bump in cases, but no large spikes like we've experienced in the past. He says vaccines and boosters are the best means of protection, but the infection will still exist in communities.
I don't think we're going to boost our way out of this. So what the booster tends to do is increase your neutralizing antibodies so that it can kind of almost prevent you from getting COVID at all. But those antibodies decline over about 90 days. And so you're still really protected against really serious complications of COVID, but less protected against just having a mild case.
Right now, almost all COVID cases are Omicron. Dr. Priest says manufacturers are working on an Omicron-specific vaccine. We should expect to hear more about that in April. And as far as an annual COVID vaccine, Dr. Priest says it depends on what experts find out about vaccines long term.
Well, game shows bring out the competitive nature in all of us, don't they? Right? When you're watching one, you probably imagine yourself crushing the competition, especially if the odds are in your favor. It appeared last night's Wheel of Fortune contestants had an easy win in sight, but it didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, a simple riddle turned out to be a screaming at your TV moment after no one could give the correct answer. Before we show you the phrase, we want to know, when you watch Wheel of Fortune, do you play along? I'm sure you do, right? The phrase was another feather in your cap. A Twitter user who saw the show says the woman on Wheel of Fortune got not one, but 2 chances to solve this. First time, she said, in your lap. The second time, she said, map. I am in utter disbelief.
Map?
Gosh.
Was this the final round question? Do we know?
I'm not sure.
Because that's a timer situation too.
Under pressure.
Right. And you don't have the other, time where the contestants are also spinning and
That's
guessing.
right.
So you really have I think it's 10 seconds.
Gosh.
Maybe 15 at the most, but it's not a long time to get it. However, I would say, most of the things are filled in. I can see how people were probably screaming at their TVs cap,
Yep.
cap. But
It's a lot of pressure on Wheel of Fortune especially when those letters start getting filled up. Oh my goodness.
That's a saying. That's one of those sayings, though, that it goes back so long. I never know where it originated or who said it first or where it came from. It's just something that's kind of always been instilled in you. You always just know it.
Yeah. So Christian, you obviously play along while watching Wheel of Fortune, of course, huh?
My goal is before Pat Sajak retires to make it onto Wheel of Fortune and be a contestant.
I will support you along the way, Christian. We ought to get some posters made.
I've
for
always
you.
always wanted to do it. Always wanted. I don't think I could do Jeopardy. I mean, I don't think I could do Jeopardy. I think the pressure's too much on Jeopardy.
Jeopardy's
for
tough.
everything, and you don't really know how to study. I don't know if you can really study for Jeopardy. It's just one of those things.
Because it could
you
be
have to
anything.
know it. Yeah, it can be anything. Wheel of Fortune, I think, is a little more lighthearted and much more my speed. But my goal is to be a contestant before Pat retires.
Ed, what about you?
Well, you got to realize and got to remember that not everybody is used to these bright lights and the camera, and then the added part for the studio audience making all kinds of noise and things like that. That can be really intimidating. Now, we have to deal with these conditions every single day on the Good Morning Show. So that part of the equation of being really frightened with the bright lights and the cameras and all of the TV stuff going on, that would help us out if we were a contestant on any of these game shows. But I think that and being put under time restraints can really be a factor and make answering a question correctly very difficult.
Just ask Ed. I put a lot of pressure on him every single day.
Oh, poor Ed.
So Elizabeth was able to answer my question about whether it was the final question, and she said it was not. So there is a little bit more time. That's right, because other people are answering the question as well and apparently couldn't get it. I think I was caught up because the tweet that we read said she had not once but twice to get it right. So
Okay.
that's why I was confused. But anyway, I remember Ed Matthews when Wheel of Fortune came to Winston-Salem. They were casting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, so they had their touring bus that came out to different cities, and we did have a few people who were casted that day who ended up going to the show. Well, anyway, our marketing director at the time told it, like, Tracy, you got to go out there, meet the fans, da-da-da. I'm like, sure. They're like, you're going to meet Pat and Van. I was like, what? Okay, I'll be there, yeah. And I get there, and it's like literally cardboard cutouts of like Pat and Van and like a show producer. And they're like, hi, you know, can you welcome everybody here? And I was like, where's Pat? They're like, Pat?
Right there.
I'm
Like Pat got a little thin.
Yeah, right?
I fell for that. I fell for it.
Oh, man.
But it was still nice
Tracy.
that the show came out and gave, you know, our community a chance to cast for the show, because otherwise you would
Really
have
cool.
to audition there.
Right.
And there's no telling whether, you know, you would get on the show or if you'd have a date to get out. But they were looking for people who had a lot of personality and spunk,
That's cool.
but also people who kind of really thought fast on their feet.
And Ed, you know, you made a really good point, because you think in TV you would know, obviously, like the pressures and everything, but when you're at home watching the game shows, I guess you really don't really think about all the
No.
pressure they have to face, you know, with the audience and the lights and you know, having to beat the other contestant.
Yeah.
You don't really think of it. You know, all your family's just kind of sitting there all enjoying it and not really realizing that.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, for people that are not in the TV business, you know, we you know, back before COVID, you know, we would have visitors to the station, and
Yeah.
they'd look at all the bright lights and the, you know, 25 cameras we have and all that stuff, and they go, wow, look at all of this. And
Yep.
and so people can be really taken away by, you know, what a studio looks like, and then you add, you know, the big, you know, studio audience in there, and that just, you know, adds to the difficulty of trying to answer these questions.
Answer the question.
You know, when I worked in radio here in the Triad, and I'm going to say a couple things that might give away the station that I used to work at, but that's okay. We played a rock and roll trivia game. Our morning show did every morning at about 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And, you know, you sit there and you're in the office, you know, and I'm putting my show together and I'm listening, and, you know, our callers are calling in to play the game. I'm like, come on, don't you know that? Like, you know, I'm like yelling it out. And then I had to think back, before I got into radio, I actually played the game and played with the morning show, and one of the hosts plays along with you. And you get in there, and when you're on the phone and you have that time clicking, it's a different kind of pressure and different mindset when it's really on you, and it's up to you in the next few seconds to come up with an answer. So that pressure is totally different than if you're sitting in the car listening or sitting in the office listening.
Wow.
I think if I was ever going to go on a game show, it would have been Hollywood Squares.
I would choose Family Feud.
That's a good one.
I would, obviously, I would do Wheel of Fortune or Supermarket Sweep.
Oh, really?
Remember Password?
I do remember.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't watch it a whole lot, but
That was a good one.
it was a good one.
And what else is fun too is getting the board games of these game shows as well too, and just kind of, obviously it's not really the same as it is on TV, but being able to play, you know, at home, whether it's like a special holiday and you have all the family here, that's fun.
Yeah, we did a lot of that during COVID. Playing a lot
Right,
of,
exactly.
Like, board games, and I'm like, I will not play my son at Uno ever
Oh,
again.
no.
Never again.
Uno
He was
can
just
get
like,
real,
draw four,
okay?
Draw four. Draw. I'm like, oh my God, I gotta like draw
We're
like
done.
16. He's like, sorry, Mommy, you shouldn't have sat next to me.
So
Like,
cute.
look, we're done with Uno.
Sydney, do you remember, I bet, I know Ed probably didn't watch it and Tracy probably didn't watch it either, but do you remember Double Dare 2000? It was on Nickelodeon.
I do remember Double Dare.
That
you ran
sounds
through the-
Yeah, it was
familiar.
the obstacle course.
Yeah.
run
You ran through all the
through.
slime and stuff. See, now that's my speed.
That's your speed.
Yeah, I could see that. How would you get all that slime out of those gorgeous locks of yours?
I don't know. It'd take a little while, right?
Well.
Again, side story, not going off on a tangent here, but when I was in college, my senior year at App, we did this thing with the Chancellor where we had to slime the Chancellor. Like, I forgot what the theme was for homecoming. And so we slimed the Chancellor, and then he slimed all of us that were on a leadership committee. And I'm telling you, it took me forever. It took me probably 3 or 4 showers, and long showers at that, and
To get rid of
half a
it.
bottle of hairspray to get that stuff out of here.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's not fun, but I'm happy you got it out. Better days ahead.
Me too.
All right, guys, speaking of better days ahead, let's talk about tomorrow, because it's even going to get warmer than we're going to get today.
Yeah, you're going to enjoy low 70s today, low 70s and maybe even some mid 70s coming up on Thursday. A couple of really nice spring-like days for the Piedmont today and tomorrow. But a cold front will move through late Thursday, and that'll set the stage for much cooler weather comparatively as we see highs on Friday into the mid 50s with some extra clouds. But that front will likely slowly move back north as a warm front. So we're going to warm right back up over the weekend. We'll start Saturday with some extra clouds, more in the way of afternoon sunshine, 65. Check out Sunday, partly sunny, mid and upper 70s. And by Monday, even with a small late afternoon rain chance, we could get pretty close to 80 on Monday.
Oh my goodness, 80?
Yeah.
Wow.
Are you working with us here on Monday?
I am, I believe so. I get to bring out my shades and my sunglasses, styling and profiling.
Oh, we are about to see Styling Sydney show out on Monday. Well, I'll be here.
I'm ready for it.
You'll be showing out and I'll be sitting down. I'm like, girl, you got this. It is all you. Thanks so much for joining us on After GMS. Certainly always a great time chatting with you and hearing what you guys have to say about these conversations. We look forward to doing it again tomorrow. Take care.
See you then.